In January 2025, a writer arrived at the infamous Lock House in West Sussex, a mansion steeped in haunting folklore. Nestled in the countryside, this sprawling mansion had seen centuries of history, with rumors swirling for decades about strange occurrences within its walls. The locals had long whispered of ghostly apparitions and eerie noises, of shadowy figures that would appear in the windows late at night, only to vanish as quickly as they came. Despite its reputation as one of the most haunted places in England, the mansion still drew visitors, many of whom were eager to experience its supernatural legends firsthand. The writer, armed with curiosity and a sense of adventure, spent several nights at the mansion, hoping to witness something truly spine-chilling. The mansion itself was grand but isolated, a place where time seemed to stand still. The floors creaked, the fireplaces crackled, and the faint smell of old wood and dampness hung in the air. As the nights wore on, the writer couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease, as though something was watching from the shadows. But as the clock ticked past midnight each night, nothing happened. No ghostly figures appeared, no doors slammed shut on their own, no whispers echoed through the hallways. The experience, though unsettling, was eerily quiet. Still, there was an undeniable feeling of being watched, a sense that the house itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. On the final night, as the writer sat by the fire, an unexpected chill swept through the room. The fire crackled and popped, casting long shadows on the walls, but nothing more occurred. The writer left Lock House with mixed feelings. While they hadn't encountered any tangible supernatural phenomena, the atmosphere in the mansion remained thick with mystery. The ghosts of Lock House, it seemed, were content to remain unseen, leaving their story locked away within the mansion's ancient walls. But perhaps not every terrifying encounter ends with the supernatural. Sometimes, the true horror comes in the form of a near-death experience. This brings us to United Airlines Flight 1382, a terrifying event that occurred on February 2, 2025. The flight, scheduled to depart from George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston, Texas, to New York's LaGuardia Airport, was just moments away from takeoff when disaster nearly struck. The plane had already started accelerating down the runway when a major engine malfunction was detected. The crew, calm but urgent, immediately aborted the takeoff. The aircraft screeched to a halt on the tarmac, an emergency evacuation was initiated, and passengers were safely escorted off the plane. But the terror didn't end with the evacuation. The passengers, who had moments earlier been preparing for what they hoped would be an uneventful flight, were left shaken by the near miss. The sensation of their lives hanging in the balance was something that no one would ever forget. Imagine the chilling realization that your fate was in the hands of an engine that had failed just in time to avoid disaster. What makes this situation even more unsettling is the fact that the malfunction could have gone undetected for just a few more seconds, turning what could have been a routine flight into something far more catastrophic. The emotional aftermath of such a close call can be just as haunting as any ghostly encounter. Back on the ground, the experience left passengers questioning their safety, their sense of security now shattered. As the emergency services responded, many passengers couldn't shake the feeling of dread as they wondered if they had narrowly avoided something far worse. It wasn't just the plane that felt dangerous. It was the awareness that in the blink of an eye, life could change. 1 minute, you're just another person on a plane, the next, you're staring death in the face. If the horror of narrowly escaping death wasn't enough, imagine a fire that engulfs everything in its path. This terrifying scenario played out in Los Angeles in January 2025, when wildfires ravaged the city with alarming speed. What began as a small spark in the hills quickly turned into a blaze that would burn over 45 square miles, destroying homes and claiming the lives of 5 people. The fire wasn't just a disaster, it was a nightmare, forcing 179,000 people to flee for their lives. Among those forced to evacuate were some of Hollywood's biggest stars, including Paris Hilton and Jhené Aiko, who were forced to leave behind their multi-million-dollar estates, unsure if their homes would still be standing when they returned. As the flames spread, so did the reports of strange happenings. Survivors who had fled to safety in evacuation centers told stories of hearing whispers in the smoke-filled air, the sensation of being watched by something they couldn't see. Some claimed to have seen figures moving among the flames, shadows that darted between the buildings, always just out of reach. One resident recounted hearing footsteps behind them as they fled, only to turn and find no one there. It wasn't just the fire that haunted them, it was the feeling of something darker lingering in the ash. As the fires raged on, a sense of unease settled over the city. It wasn't just the devastation of losing homes and lives, it was the knowledge that something strange and unexplainable had been stirred in the heart of the disaster. The residents of Los Angeles, already grappling with the loss of everything they had, were left to wonder whether they had inadvertently awoken something ancient in the hills. Something that had been sleeping for centuries, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The fires may have been controlled, but the unsettling feeling of being pursued by an invisible force lingered long after the smoke cleared. Now, not every haunting comes from supernatural forces. Some can be even more disturbing, as the case of Ruby Frank illustrates. In August 2023, the former family vlogger, known for sharing videos of her perfect family life, found herself at the center of one of the most horrific child abuse cases in recent memory. Frank, along with her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, was arrested after Frank's 12-year-old son managed to escape their home and alert neighbors to the horrifying conditions he and his sister had been living under. The children were subjected to abuse that went beyond what most people could comprehend. They were starved, beaten, and emotionally tormented under the twisted belief that they were possessed by evil spirits. Frank, who had built a massive online following with her seemingly wholesome family vlogs, used her platform to promote an extreme form of parenting. But the facade of the perfect family quickly unraveled once the truth came to light. What was even more terrifying was the fact that so many people had followed and supported Frank's methods, convinced that her extreme tactics were the right way to raise children. The arrest led to widespread shock and horror, but it was only the beginning. As authorities dug deeper into the case, they uncovered a chilling web of manipulation and control. The docuseries Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frank delves into the disturbing details, shedding light on the psychological horror the children endured. The most unsettling part of the case is that, for years, the children's suffering was hidden in plain sight. Right under the noses of Frank's millions of followers, who had no idea of the nightmare happening behind the scenes. In this case, the real horror wasn't just the abuse, it was the insidious way in which Frank and Hildebrandt managed to manipulate their audience, making them believe that they were raising their children the right way. It was a nightmare disguised as a perfect family life, and the consequences were devastating for everyone involved. And finally, we come to ITV's Twisted, a true crime show that has captivated audiences with its disturbing exploration of murder cases that have gone viral. In 2025, the second season of Twisted is set to air, revisiting high-profile murder cases that have shocked the public, especially those involving teenagers. Among the cases covered is the tragic murder of 17-year-old British footballer Charlie Cosser, whose death rocked the UK, and 13-year-old American cheerleader Tristan Bailey, whose murder was all over social media. What makes these cases so disturbing is not just the brutality of the crimes, but the way they have become part of the viral culture of today. These tragedies were spread across platforms like TikTok, turning them into internet phenomena. As the show explores the circumstances surrounding each murder, it highlights how deeply ingrained these stories are in the public consciousness, where every detail is dissected, debated, and shared. The chilling part is how easily these young victims became pawns in a twisted game of public fascination. The Twisted series uncovers the dark side of viral fame and true crime, showing how the line between real-life horror and entertainment has become increasingly blurred. The second season promises even more shocking stories, digging deeper into the cases that have captivated millions. The terrifying truth behind these cases is that the victims' deaths are not just tragic. They are exploited, turned into spectacles, their memories commodified for entertainment. As we wrap up these bone-chilling stories, if you want to dive deeper into the world of terrifying tales, check out The Mystery of the Haunted Fort. This spine-tingling book, available for just $10, will transport you into a world of mystery and the supernatural. Click the link in the description to grab your copy now, and prepare for an adventure that will keep you up at night.